some of the amendments that are in the pipeline right now. Ripple's been speaking out on that. We have some of our validators that are dragging their feet. We've been calling them out. And it's time to move our XRP ledger forward and get it ready for the Clarity Act to pass and for mass tokenization to take place on these ledgers, for stablecoin issuance to expand into the trillions on these ledgers. And it is absolutely bullish for the native assets of the ledgers that these stablecoins are going to be issued on. And I want people to understand that it's so simple. I don't really understand why this narrative became so prevalent, other than people don't take time to understand the technology. The stablecoins are on the ledger. Stablecoins don't just exist out in the internet, in the ether, and exist without involving a blockchain. They live on the blockchain. To use RLUSD on the XRP ledger, you need XRP. You need a XRP wallet. You need a trust line established, right? And every transaction's burning XRP. And so this idea that stablecoins like RLUSD are going to replace XRP is deeply flawed, just at the technical level. If people would just take some time to understand that, it'd really go a long way. Crypto is no longer speculative. It's becoming the operating layer of modern finance. By 2026, 50% of Fortune 500 companies will have crypto exposure or formalized DAT strategies, actively holding tokenized assets, on-chain T-bills, stablecoins, and programmable financial instruments. Institutional access is also expanding through capital markets. Crypto ETFs are accelerating exposure, yet only represent a small share of the broader market, underscoring room for major growth. As adoption scales, collateral mobility will also become a top use case, with 5 to 10% of capital market settlement moving on-chain. Crypto M&A reflects market maturity, with $8.6 billion in deal volume in 2025, driven largely by institutions, and custody emerging as the next major consolidation driver. As custody commoditizes, spurring vertical integration of multi-custodian strategies, 50% of the world's top 50 banks will formalize new custody relationships in 2026. Now, out of all those trends, crypto M&A, institutional access like ETFs, crypto no longer being speculative, and about half of Fortune 500 companies getting exposure through DAT strategies, tokenized assets, on-chain T-bills, stablecoins, and programmable financial instruments. And then the first trend of stablecoins, we ask ourselves, how well is Ripple positioned for this 2026 and this trend? Perfectly positioned better than almost anybody else in the digital asset space, which is why we say the fundamentals, if they've changed, they've only gotten better.